Would you pay over $1,500 to wake up at 3 in the morning to run 4 days in a row, to run over 50 miles, and call it one of the best weekends you've ever had?
Well, because that's what the Dopey Challenge can turn into. And today we're going to be breaking down whether or not that price tag is worth it.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to the Buy Your Kids a House podcast series. Again, I'm Matt. This is Andrew. And this is the area where we talk about health and travel. And today we're going to dive a little further into the Dopey Challenge. Now, the Dopey Challenge is a Run Disney event that actually just completed and everything. So it's
a
series.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a series of events over 4 days. You run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon. And within that, you're going all 4 days early in the morning, but you get to run through the parks and everything. It's a really great experience, but it might not be for everyone. So we're going to kind of dive a little bit into exactly the numbers behind it, what you get for what you pay for, and who's it geared towards, and is it something that is for you, or maybe something that you want to leave off there and just leave it to other crazy people that are already doing it and everything. So
notice no dopey shirt.
Yep.
And all of that matters because all of this can turn into a full-blown vacation for families very quickly, even just based off of a price point, because the cost is more than you might think, but we're trying to break down the value of what that cost versus the value is.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into all those areas and then see, you can determine for yourself if the value's there or if this is something you leave out of your budget and everything and realize that you'd rather use your vacation dollars or extra spending to something else. So
yeah, and we'll be breaking it down honestly. We're not trying to hide anything. We're going to be upfront with the total cost and what you get out of it.
Yeah, so let's go and get into that.
Let's do it. All right, so before we dive into the cost of this, let's go over what the Dopey Challenge really is. I personally have never done one yet. I talked about in a previous episode, I might be looking into next year doing it, but obviously that's a ways away. However, Matt's done it how many years now?
Probably around 10 of the Dopey, and then several more of just a marathon and goofy challenge, which I'll go into all the differences of that.
Crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so he's the one that's going to be telling us more exactly what you're going to see from it, what you're going to expect from it. So let's go into a little bit of that.
Yeah, so again, the Dopey Challenge is Run Disney's biggest race event of the year because it's the only one that actually has a full marathon distance. Mm-hmm. Now, the Dopey Challenge is doing all 4 races, the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, the full marathon. Now, you don't have to do all 4 to participate in the weekend. You can sign up for an individual race, or there's also what's referred to as just the Goofy Challenge. I say just Goofy Challenge because it's still the half marathon and the full marathon, the 2 biggest races, but some people prefer that because that's Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So for those that can't necessarily get off on the weekdays, that's a better challenge for them. They still obviously are hitting the peak of it because, let's be honest, if you can do the Goofy, you can do the Dopey because adding a 5 and 10K isn't adding that much of a difference. I added on to it and everything. But you can do any of those 4 races you want to do. For instance, my daughter did her 5 and 10K over the weekend, so she did 2 of the races. My son and wife did the 5K along with us, so they did just a 5K portion. And I've had friends that come down, just jump in for the Goofy to join us on the half and full, or those of us are fully Dopey, do all 4. Now, there are other Run Disney events throughout the year, but usually most of those cap at either a 10-mile or a 13-mile is the big race distance of the weekend. This is the only one that Disney currently does that is the full marathon distance.
Yeah, that's crazy because by the end of the weekend, you're running 48.6 miles. That's insane. Yeah. That also tells me, because these are the challenges, like you were saying, you can do individual races, but to do the challenge, and Disney promotes the challenges, it's within themselves. You're either Goofy or you're Dopey, which means you're either silly or you're really dumb to do this.
Well, and then, as you mentioned, putting in that many miles.
Yeah.
So when you're breaking it down, you're passing mile 2 of the full marathon and realizing you're just passing the halfway point of the full 48.6 miles. So, when you're like, woohoo, I finally made it to the 2nd mile of the full marathon, and then you're realizing, I am barely over halfway of the entire distances that I've done between the 5K and 10K half, and now I got to do that all over again. It is definitely quite the challenge, no matter what kind of shape you're in.
Yeah, no, exactly. A question for you before we go into more things. Mentally, your very first one, how did that feel? I want to jump back in time before we move forward in time talking about current. But your very first one, knowing for the Dopey Challenge, you have to do that much more.
So So again, I was doing the Goofy challenge before the Dopey challenge because the Dopey challenge didn't exist yet.
Right.
Because for the longest time, so I'm old, going way back in time. So the half marathon and full marathon day actually used to be on the same day. Both groups would take off together, and then what used to be the old race speed track in the Magic Kingdom parking lot was actually the finish line for the half marathon. And the half marathon people just peel off, and that was the end. And the full marathon people would just keep running. Yeah. It was very tempting to just peel off with everyone doing the half marathon. Realize like I still got twice the distance to go, but then they realized as the event grew in popularity, they need to split up the event into 2 days. So that's when it became half marathon on Saturday, full marathon on Sunday. And then they realized some people were paying for registration for both, and they're like, well, Disney, not being dumb, realized like let's make more money on this. So like they turned into officially the Goofy challenge. And first one I did was the Goofy challenge before the Dopey even existed, because at that point, the 5K and 10K were just being added on, and the whole weekend was being built out. I will fully admit I did not go in with the smart preparation of the half marathon relaxing on that day in comparison. And what I mean by relaxing is you don't want to come out with any pulled muscles, any sort of chafing, any sort of tweaking anything. You don't want to roll an ankle. So I went through the half as a normal running capacity, and then came into the full with already fatigued legs and a little bbit of discomfort and everything. And that just made things exponentially more difficult for the full. So definitely for especially the back half of the full marathon, as the time and everything goes on, it just gets harder and harder through that aspect. So there's definitely that mental challenge of just getting through that process. Especially back then on the course, it was you were on Osceola Parkway heading from Animal Kingdom to ESPN. It's just a long, hot road with two big overpass hills. It looks very daunting.
I was going to say, there's not much. You see that, and you see that long stretch that you have to run down, because I've driven it. I've never run it, like I've said. But I've driven it, and even driving it, I'm like, man, this road is forever. Why are we not over this yet? So to run it, oh, man.
So from that point on, I got wiser as you get older. They say you get wiser, but it's just from that experience of what mistakes I made, and I try to partake that knowledge onto other people that are doing it with me. Now, not everyone listens to me. Some do, some don't. I've had some friends that 1 year I was running with a good buddy of mine years ago that he thought I realized I didn't have it in me at that moment, so I geared back a little bit. He decided he was going to try to win the thing, so he took off. Well, I caught up to him about 5 to 10 miles later as he's got the chafing waddle.
The chafing waddle. Oh, no. That's so bad.
And as you said, there's nothing more humbling than taking a popsicle stick of Vaseline down the front of your pants in front of 10,000 strangers. So it's
so true, though.
It's definitely one of those things of the dark side of running in these events. And I've had other friends. I won't mention his name here, but you and I both know him. The first year he did the Dopey with us, he was overly confident from the half marathon because of how easy we took it. And one of the things that you normally do is you wear some sort of band-aids or protection over your nipples because you don't want that to chafe. Well, he didn't do that for the half, so felt like he wouldn't need to do it for the full. Sure enough, at the half marathon-ish point of the full marathon, we had to pull off to the med tent, and nothing bonds people than to have you lift your sweaty shirt and slap on some band-aids
on the nipples.
in the middle of the halfway point of the full marathon. So he learned his lesson from that and everything. So from that point on, he's been properly protected.
I was going to say, it only takes once.
It does take once, but it's a painful one. So.
That's what makes you remember, though.
Yeah, it's all, and then whether it's the Vaseline or Body Glide or whatever else you use to try to help prevent the chafing and things, and you feel like you get everywhere and everything, and you learn each year, well, I forgot this area of a waistband or this area, and then. Well, the shower lets you know every little part that you potentially missed on.
I was going to say, the shower provides the truth of all.
Yeah, so it can let you know and everything. But as far as and I've had good years where like things went well and I was able to hit a PR or at least finish strong and everything.
Yeah,
I've had other years where definitely more of a challenge. I will say this year I felt it was more of a challenge because as you see, I do have the cast off. I am out of that.
Yeah.
But I have had it on for the last 2 months. And even though it is my arm, not my legs, it definitely still hindered my training because like there's only so much you can do when you have that thing clamped on. And so I will say this year was definitely more of a mental challenge of not knowing if I would have it in there. And at least we still had a good time. We also knew it was going to be hotter of a race, which for me is definitely a challenge. I'm much more of a cold weather. I already have my own insulation going.
Built-in insulation already.
Yeah, so I'm definitely more of a cold weather runner than a hot weather runner. And for it being a hotter time and everything for this type of race, had to get through that aspect of it a lot more. So
yeah, no, like it's crazy all the things that go into this and the things that you don't think about until the first time you do it. But what we want to talk about next is the real cost of the runs. So we're going to start breaking that down, I think, next.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So now we're going to dive into the number specific with this, just a singular Run Disney event and everything. So basically, the rent event alone can cost you over $600 just for the Dopey, and that's just if you're doing it for yourself.
I was going to say that's an individual number. Yeah. That's not for if you have multiple people or a family.
Yeah. So again, it can obviously spiral that up. Like for my instance, I have my 2 kids and my wife that are running with us. So the 5K alone is around $120-ish a person. My daughter did the 10K, which is about another $120 and everything. So right there alone, well over $1,000+ in just race registration on its own. That right there is a big barrier to get there. A lot of times people look at like, oh wow, like that much just to run a race. Well, it's not just that much to run a race. If you're doing it at Disney and everything, a lot of times you also want to stay at a Disney property hotel. Because they have a lot of added benefits for one of the first ones being is transportation to and from the race. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you have to stay in a hotel. Like I've actually done it many times where I've been in my home and we live locally here. So I've driven down back and forth from that. It can be done, but there are challenges to it. First off, a lot of the roads, especially for the half and full, start getting closed off and blocked off. Yep. So the road backs up and it can be much more challenging trying to get on property, even at that hour of day. Like a lot of times you're like, oh, it's 3 a.m. It should be wide open roads. Well, on Disney property already isn't because they're shutting things down as preparation for the race. All the Disney hotels there offer transportation to and from the race via they partner up with nearest bus service to get you to and from there. Yeah. So the ease of also you're tired, so you don't want to necessarily also drive at that point, but like to wake up nearby, fall out onto the bus, have it take you there, and then when you finish, fall back onto the bus, have it take you back is a tremendous benefit in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's a major added cost. We're blessed with having opportunities and everything to get to hotels at a cheaper rate and everything. But even if you're staying at the value resorts, it still isn't cheap per night.
I was going to say the hotel is something that a lot of people don't think about too going into it initially. Yeah. I mean, at some point that does cross your mind because it's like, oh no, where am I going to stay? But having that added little bit extra cost from a Disney resort versus staying off property to be able to get to these races. Because like you were saying, you have to wake up 3-4 in the morning to just get to the race to run and to have that transportation that is reliable, because in our experience, Disney transportation is super reliable for overall. Yeah. But to be able to have that perk alone, it might be worth looking into staying on property instead.
Yeah. And, and again, just to quickly also get back and you have a bed and shower nearby because, I'm not used to waking up that time of day and everything. So you're definitely already tired. So just being quickly that much, faster to get to a spot where you can shower, change, and take a quick nap before you even get back into your day. But what that also costs is also while you're there, just like with any travel costs, you got to eat. Yeah. And you're probably eating out because, well, yes, you can probably pack some and have in your room. And a lot of the Disney rooms do have little kitchenettes and everything. Let's be real, for the most part, you're still going to probably be eating at even a quick service location or a table service location, but that's an added cost per meal per day, especially if you're a family of 4, eating that aspect. Yeah. And then also odds are you're probably going to want to go to the theme parks at some point. So while there are ways to mitigate, and one of the main ways would be having something like an annual pass. And I will say, if you are a constant Run Disney person, not just for the Dopey weekend, but any other Run Disney events, having an annual pass probably is a route to go to help mitigate that cost, at least keep it more within your knowing budget. But if either which way, if you're buying tickets of some sort, like that is a massive cost to go along with the hotel stay. So again, we said before, you're turning this into a full-blown vacation.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because then you're going to the parks, you have your family there typically. I mean, unless it's a solo trip, but you're still probably going to want to go into the parks and you're going to want to play around afterwards. You're going to be high from that energy for a little while, even though you're exhausted. We know the adrenaline doesn't go away that quickly, so you still have a little bit in you. Mid-afternoon naps, though, that's the key. Yeah. But besides that, the cost adds up so much between the resorts, the parks, and paying for the runs.
Yeah, and there's also other costs that we haven't even dove into, is also what to wear during these races. Now, Disney, I do love, and this happens to other races as well, but people like to not only dress in running attire, but they'll dress in full costumes. Yeah. And, building your own custom costume for these is not cheap, depending on how elaborate you go. it adds up really fast. But there's also the thing is while yes, as you get closer to that Dopey weekend, you can start to see what the weather's looking like. It's Florida. You don't know necessarily how hot or how cold it's going to be. This past year was a hotter marathon, especially for the full marathon day. But I've also ran some where I was actually getting sleeted on in the morning with like little ice pellets being hit in the face. So you have to be prepared for that. So you want to have warm weather clothes, but also hot weather clothes, your costumes and makeup and whatever else you want to wear with it. Some people go all out with body paint and glitter and hats and things. All those are massive costs added into, on top of the fact of what you need for running itself. Well, your tops, your bottoms, your shoes, your socks. The shoes are expensive.
Yeah.
But these costumes, I've seen people go all out for these elaborate running costumes.
I've seen pictures online of just like from the races, because it's a huge social media like avenue as well. Yeah. But like I see some of these and it's like, how did you run a marathon in that?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me, because like you were saying, full costumes. People go out there. I think there's a guy that dresses up as Jack Sparrow and a lot of them too, like running Jack.
Yeah.
But he's like decked out.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? I want as little on me as possible unless it's cold, and then we'll put over like a jacket or something. But past that, I don't need anything else to get in the way of the running. But a lot of people do that.
They do.
It's so much fun to see, but you have to wonder, how miserable are you?
Well, but obviously from the biting off more you can chew in the running aspect, but it is a cost and everything. And while yes, some of the costumes maybe we had a group I saw running dressed up as different sections of the monorail, and we're trying to run as like a long choo-choo train of a monorail going through. And I'm pretty just was cardboard with some straps and everything, and painted and decorated to look like the monorail and everything. But at the end of the day, it still costs money to do that. And we our group this past year did a little bit of going as the Winnie the Pooh characters for the full marathon. But granted, we just had crop top, shorts, and socks, so like it wasn't overtly of a costume and everything. But there's still costs and everything involved with it, even for wearing just for that event or other future events and everything. And then some just do, and I've done in the past where you have a plain T-shirt and you have something printed on it and everything. But that's still $20-ish and everything you're adding into that budget. And then adding the budget also beyond that is the health and wellness expo they have going on during the weekend. We all love our toys. And again, as you're going to Health and Fitness Expo, you see tons and tons of running gear. Everything from the big air inflatable boots for decompression, fun custom clothes that they've created for the event. They got these awesome, this guy had these wood rounded maps. They recreated the whole course and everything. It would show exactly what you're doing for the course.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it'd be super cool, but it costs money.
I was going to say, and time.
And I think Rob Katz came out with a new artwork with the Disney different characters on there.
Really?
Like they had there, and again, tons also food and snacks. Also, if you need more Body Glide, they also have that there. They also just launched, Brooks is partnered with Disney and came out with they're now coming out with race-specific series of running shoes. And they launched 4 or 5 of them just this past weekend at the expo. And they had them there for sale and everything. And if you want specifically, a Mickey shoe, a Castle shoe, Run Disney shoe, things like that. Like if you want those shoes that match with it, it's a couple $100 and everything for those shoes. And they're very nice. But that's an added cost and everything with it, beyond even just adding in the if you want to get normal merchandise and everything along the way. Because let's be honest, you're on vacation, especially if you have kids, they're going to want some sort of a trinket. But when you're at these expos, it's definitely tough. Let alone also they come out with specifically for the race event merchandise. Now the shirt here that I'm wearing is included with your purchase of the race. So this is part of you get this and the medal and things like that. That's part of the registration package. But they have a whole series of I Did It shirts, hoodies, extra pins you can buy, the cups and tumblers and things, and they're really amazing stuff. But it adds up really fast and everything. So seeing people come out with huge sackfuls of merchandise and everything from there, it's not my budget.
It's like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yep. Hopefully we have our Disney stock purchase as we see that go up. But again, those are elements that add up really fast. And so in essence, looking at it from the idea of race registration to Disney hotel to the food and everything when you're there and merchandise, I mean, this could easily be a $5,000 to $10,000 weekend. Real fast.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you look at it, is that really worth for the healthy aspect of running?
Correct. I was about to say, like, we're going to dive into next about is it worth it? Because, like, we've gone over all of these different costs. And, like you said, bringing up a good point of, like, any merchandise you want from it, because it's so exclusive merchandise for those specific runs that you're going to want something. I mean, you like you said, you get the medal, you get the shirt. But past that, there's so many other things that you could get that's going to add up so quickly, but that you might actually want. You might want to spend the money on that to have that memory, especially if it's something like, I know you've been blessed, you can do it almost every year. But what about the people that can't? You know, this may be a one and done for them. So they may take advantage of that. And that cost goes way up, the more that you look into buying more things. So,
so, and again, I know we always go to 50, 30, 20 budget rule and everything. This definitely falls under 30. So you got to take a long, hard look, is that $5,000 to $10,000, does that fit into my budget? So
absolutely.
And is it worthy enough to have that little bit of a healthy push to take that much of a financial hit into your budget?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at if it's worth it or not next. All right. So at this point, you're probably thinking, why do it and why is it worth it? We're going to start going into the reasons of why it's worth it, because, like as we discussed, it can be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and if not higher, depending on what you ended up choosing and how big your family is. So the cost is super high. But let's go over some of the things Disney does that actually makes this worth it.
Yeah. So again, when you first look at that sticker shock of $5,000 to $10,000, you like, well, I could just wake up and do a turkey trot and everything, and or I can just walk out and just run myself. Like, I don't need to spend the money. So, why spend the money just for my health and wellness aspect of it and everything? But there's definitely elements of why to do it at these events. And I'm not trying to knock any of the other smaller events or even some of the other global events, whether the Boston, New York, Chicago. Those are all amazing things. I haven't done those yet. I want to at some point. But I have done a lot of the Run Disney events, and there's something about what this adds into that just adds that extra inspiration in there. First off, tons and tons of character spots. I have a fun stat here. So just over the weekend alone, they had 98 character stops with 151 characters. And when I say just characters, I'm not just talking about normal Mickey and Minnie out there.
Right.
We're talking rare characters that you hardly ever get to see, you may never have seen before. Some of these, I'm wondering, how the heck did we get this character out there for that spot of, we're having, old school, launch pad from back in the day. They had this past race, they had a lot of the Stitch characters because it was space theme for the 5K. So they had, Gantu and everything out there. Character, I was going to say,
I didn't even know Gantu was a character Disney did.
Yeah, so you had, and then, even Goofy, they had not just regular Goofy, but they had Jester Goofy, they had Sherlock Holmes Goofy, they had, so many different variations that ones I'd never seen before out there. And, you have these characters that you never had the chance to see. Plus, you get to run through all 4 parks.
Yep.
So having these, and some of these, especially early in the morning, they're all lit up. Yes, I know it's after Christmas, but Disney keeps the Christmas decorations up usually through the marathon weekend.
I was going to say, at least through the first week,
Yeah, so you're going through, the Christmas decorations are still out, everything's lit up. At Epcot, you have the fire torches from their nighttime fireworks show going. Music's pumping all the way through, so you're just getting that fun, amazing inspiration. They're taking great photos of these photo spots as you're going through, whether it's from the castle or the Epcot ball. As you're going through, they've got tons of DJs out along the way. They bring in high school bands to play for you along the way.
Yeah.
There's this group that it does the Japanese war drumming and everything,
like that.
You just get that going, and I'm talking it's 60, 80 pieces of a drum. And if you're coming around, you hear them from a half mile out. And you start picking up as you're going through.
You're like, oh, okay.
It's hard not to be inspired. Famously, at the very end, there's generally a chorus group right near the end, and they're doing the gospel type preaching, singing, and everything.
So does that mean you're dead?
You might be.
You died and went to heaven at that point. They just want you to feel more comfortable being received.
Possible, but it gives you that inspirational.
Absolutely.
And you're getting there through it.
It's so uplifting and motivating. Yeah.
And so you're going through all that. The areas are going through there. Obviously, they have also tons of great, food and water stations along the way. Make sure you have all that. But even the last couple of years, on there's one stretch of road, famously called Bear Island Road. It's a quiet road. There's not as much on there. Well, Disney decided they found some way to make it actually fun and interesting on there. They actually put up a whole bunch of sound effects and lasers and fog and smoke, and make it sound like it's the Battle of Endor as you're going through.
Oh, so you're running through a Star Wars battle.
Yeah, you feel like you're running through there. You're hearing the walking of the AT-ATs and everything, and you're hearing the blasts, and you're hearing the little Ewoks and everything's going through, and they literally have lasers shooting through the fog as you're running through there.
That's so
and they put out this
cool.
amazing effect lighting and this changing the different colors and make it seem like you are legit running through a Star Wars battle for a solid mile of this and everything. It's like it's going through. And if you are also fast enough, you can stop for the character photos, but there's also opportunity to even ride some rides.
I was about to tie that in too, because even if you don't, like, you're just there for the races, you get access to, once the parks start operating, you can stop and ride rides.
Yeah.
As long as you're within your time frame to be able to do it.
A lot of people famously do the Everest ride at Animal Kingdom. That's
I was about to say that one. Yeah, a lot of people do Everest every time. Yeah.
Now, I haven't done that one yet because I feel like if I sit down in Everest, that's where I'm going to live from that point on.
You're like, I'm not getting off this ride for the next 3 hours.
I can't get back up and everything. But it's definitely an opportunity there. And and there's a few others along the way. Like a lot of people do the merry-go-round and Magic Kingdom and things. But Everest is probably the most famous along the course because usually by the time that the parks are opening up, that's one of the main ones that's operational at that time. It's on the course for you to do. And but you're getting all that. Plus, you're getting the cheers of the community and everything. A lot of people you'll see are coming from all walks of life. They're having their own different struggles and things, whatever they're facing at home, their own fitness journey. And that's one of the things that they really try to bring in is telling everyone's stories. You see this year's theme was even like storybooks and everything.
Yeah.
So while this is like the adventure story and they had the space theme story, but the idea is that it's a story of you. And in the mornings that they'll have different people telling their story of what they got here. Whether it's struggling with cancer, struggling with just obesity, struggling with mental health, whatever the case is, of what brought them here and why they're here, and hearing those inspirational stories. One of the things I really love from this past week in particular, the lady that was the first place finisher for the marathon on the women's side, she stayed all the way until the last runner crossed and came back out and ran across the finish line with her. So she finished in 2.5 hours or so, roughly, and waited all the way to past the 7-hour mark for the last person to come back out and help that last person get across the finish line. And that's what it kind of all boils down to. We're both.
I was going to say, I'm getting a little emotional from that. That's so awesome, though.
It's such a supportive community and everything like that. Because again, like you have all the different elements of that. No matter how fast you are, what condition you're in, and everything. And even if you don't finish it, there's a supportive community of like, hey, you at least crossed that start line. Like, you gave it your all. And even if it wasn't in it for you for that day, like you did more than what a lot of people at home aren't doing.
Exactly.
Like, you'll see a lot of shirts with people customly print on, like, finishing is the best, finishing dead last, getting swept, and it's still better than not starting at all. Like, it's just the way the path goes. Like, and then, I know people get scared of the idea of the balloon ladies scooping them up and everything, but anyone that I've ever heard or spoken to has seen the balloon ladies have always said it's always such a positive experience when they get there. I was
about to say, they're so encouraging and they do everything they can for you to not get swept.
Yeah. And even if you are, to let you know that it's okay and everything. That hey, you made it to whatever part of the race you made it to is probably further and better than you've ever done before. And maybe it's an injury that took you out at this point. Maybe you're used to running farther, but you rolled an ankle or something like that happened and everything. But even if it's not, just knowing that you made it that far and challenge yourself to do something hard, because a lot of people aren't willing to even challenge, shake the norms and stretch outside their comfort zone to try something that's hard.
Yep.
And I will say, even though I've done the full marathon a lot of times, it is still something that is hard. I'm not knocking any race distance, the 5K, 10K half. They're all difficult, but there's something about a full marathon that your body is going to hit a challenge unless you are truly an elite runner.
Yeah.
Which I am not.
Well, even the elite runners, there's still a certain point. I mean, because, running that many miles, because it's 26?
26.2, yeah.
26.2 miles. That's a long way to run. No matter how fast you are, you're still pushing your body for hours, no matter how fast you can run. Well, and that's still an achievement.
The world record is just at 2 hours. Because again, the 2 hour barrier was broken. Granted, it was under kind of ideal conditions that Nike did with Kipchoge a couple years ago. But so it's not an official world record because it didn't happen in a world major.
It was a controlled environment, if you will. Yeah,
but still 2 hours of just running at 13 miles an hour speed is an insane task.
To get there, you had to have worked so hard and challenged yourself so much just to get to that point.
And then, and then if you're just qualifying for Boston, which is right around 3 hours, is still an amazing task that I probably will never see in my lifetime. And then whether if you're more of a casual runner, that 4, 5, 6, or 7 hour range, that's a long time to put the wear and tear in your body of going through and just having, because again, as you mentioned, the mental fatigue earlier and everything, it is very easily at 4, 5, 6, or 7 hours to have your mind's going to mess with you. Like, it's just going to be like, hey, there's a bus I can get on right there and just call this quits. Like, hey, I can just sit down right here and have medical come help me. There's medical tents along the way. I can just peel off and stop with one of them. There are those voices in your head, and there's those little whispers in there of like, hey, I should or shouldn't and everything. And if you're able to push through those and cross that finish line, that is an amazing experience. And I recommend, if not a Run Disney event, everyone should run a marathon at least once in their life.
Absolutely.
Because crossing that finish line, you will have that aspect of that knowing that I did it and I pushed through whatever those mental boundaries are and everything. And as we got emotional a little bit ago, I will fully admit, I fully cried the first time that I did it. And I've cried other times for different reasons in other ones. It is one of those areas of that that you push yourself beyond the point where it's very easily just to say no and quit. And that is something that can't be taken away from you from that.
Correct. So, and I like that a lot. That is so huge because having that internal achievement and fulfillment out of I pushed myself past what I thought my own limits were and I came out on the other side successful. There's nothing like that feeling in the world. I have not encountered anything better than that in the sense of self-fulfillment. But what we were touching on, Disney, I think, stands out so much more with their marathons is because they understand that on a deeper level. So they provide the distractions for that voice in your mind being like, there's a bus. Yeah. And do they provide all of that? Yes, absolutely. They make sure that you're safe every step of the way to where if you have to stop, you can stop. But if you want to keep pushing yourself, they provide the distractions with all these things like running through Star Wars, the drumming, the live bands, the DJ, the characters. All of those things aren't there for Disney to be like, oh, hey, look at us. They're there for you to have a distraction in your mind to be able to move past that mental limitation that we all hit that wall that we know we can go past. Yeah. And so providing that willpower in a fun way, to me, is why Disney stands out, and the price is more worth it than just an average race.
Yeah, and again, even little touches like we were staying at Art of Animation Hotel, and I know other hotels were doing this as well. But when your bus gets back to the resort, they have a cheer squad of cast members there with a table with the buttons that already have I'm celebrating whatever the race was on there. And everything. They have apples, oranges, and waters and juice and power and everything out there, and they're there genuinely cheering you on just when you finish getting off. Even in the morning, even without having to purchase a ticket, they will allow viewers, guests that just want to cheer you on, to come onto Main Street in Magic Kingdom before the park even opens. Because we're talking, 5, 6, 7 in the morning, so the park hasn't even opened yet. But they'll allow people onto Main Street, and there are a few things that will fire you up. Yeah. Then coming up and going through the train station of Main Street, coming up on the street, and there's just a wall of people and the castle and everything as you're running down that.
I still, to this day, whenever I walk into Magic Kingdom, my first and favorite moment is making that corner outside of the train station and seeing the castle. I don't know, we both have been to Disney and have worked for Disney, and we've seen it hundreds and if not thousands of times now in our lifetime. But there's still something about seeing it for that first time of the day that's still Disney nailed magic perfectly. They really did.
Yeah. And then you also have the rest of the day to celebrate in the only way that Disney can do. Because, again, I've done other races. When the race is over, you get your medal. It's very nice. But you go home and it's over.
And it's done. That's it.
Disney, as we mentioned before, which is part of the budget going in there, you're probably going to go back to the parks. Mm-hmm. And you get to wear your shirt, your medal, the whole rest of the day. Yeah. And you'll see everyone in their medal in the whole rest of the day as you maybe waddling around somewhere.
You might be limping and
slowly moving. But either which way, you're still moving, but you're looking at other people, and all the cast members are congratulating you. Other people, the medal, you're giving a little nod of knowing what you went through.
You did it, I did it.
Yeah, that little we got through there. but you get the whole rest of the day and even the rest of that weekend, no matter what course you did and everything, to celebrate with that. And having people congratulate you on that along the way, so you get an elongated celebration of that than just right when the race finished. Now you go back home to your real life, which is what my experiences from other regular races are.
Right.
So you're getting that elongated gratification and everything from it.
Well, and I wanted to tie into that too. It's about building those memories. Yeah. Like having those memories that, like you were saying, the first time that you crossed the finish line, you got emotional. And then for other reasons, and I know for a fact, you can pinpoint and give me details out of all these different times that you've experienced such gratitude, hope, fulfillment, things like that just overwhelm you. And being able to get that out of running, for me, it is a little bit mind-boggling because, again, I haven't done it. But that alone is worth saving for this, in my opinion. Having the memories to build with your friends or family, or even on your own for self-triumph. Like you said, a lot of people have overcome cancer. A lot of people have overcome different heart issues, heart transplant. I know we know someone that has run a marathon after a heart transplant. Yeah. And so, like, just having that memory that will carry you on throughout the rest of your life, can you really put a price tag on that? It's hard to, right?
And again, as you said, building those memories, like for me, I'm starting to try to pass those memories with my kids. Again, I've done the 5K with them in these Disney races for the past couple of years. Before that, they were doing little kid dashes that they used to do, which was really fun and cute. But now that they're finally able to join me in the bigger races with the 5K, now my daughter in the 10K, I'll fully admit, once again, I got emotional when my daughter crossed on the 10K and everything. Seeing her and the joy that she had to finish doing that. But both my son with the first time they did the 5K, same thing. And my son famously was born over Dopey weekend back in 2018, and I still was doing the Dopey, going back and forth from the hospital. But then on his 5th birthday, which is the first year you can run the 5K, it fell on the same day. So he's able to run the 5K on his 5th birthday. And then we have like the fun little photo of him as a newborn baby with my Dopey medals in 2018. And now here at 5 years old, him doing his first 5K. And then building that up. And my daughter, who's, again, I'm not forcing them to do these things. These are something they want to grow to. She's been asking to do the 10K. Right. She turned 10 and wanted to do the 10K with us. And challenge herself and everything, and seeing her push past, even for 10K, the mental boundaries of what it was like, of what it takes to train for, what it's actually like to run a longer distance, because especially for younger kids, all they know is sprint and stop. Like there is no just run, just jog, just like, they don't understand how long a mile actually is, and especially how long 6 miles are. So having that area of what it takes actually to get through all 6.2 miles and having your legs feel like jello and getting through that. And then to blow her mind, to tell her that I was running twice that distance the next day and twice that the day after. It was really, I think the first time it actually sunk in. She
fully realized what
the challenge is. But I'm hoping, and she says now, but we don't know, but at 14, you're able to do the half marathon. She wants to grow into doing that, and then potentially even the full marathon down the road. And then same thing, my son, he's doing the 5K now, and we'll see if he wants to follow in those footsteps as he gets older and goes into this. But there's a different aspect. This was a couple years ago now, and I'm talking hopefully way down the road for me. But there was a gentleman probably about my age pushing a wheeled athlete that was his father, who was at the point now that he couldn't do it anymore. And then he had a sign on there saying my first and you can see the father that was in the wheelchair and just the sheer joy he had on his face. And even though his son, it wasn't probably physically easy for him to do, but he wanted to do it for his father and everything, getting him through that and everything. So, down the road, God willing, Bryce one day will push me.
You'll be the old man and he's like, get me across the line.
Yeah, get me across, drive me across the finish line. But there's something about, and again, I haven't run the majors around the world, but I've run other smaller ones. But there's just something a little different about this, and the other ones are still fun. And again, if they fit in your budget better, absolutely, I suggest to do it, because doing any healthy movement is important, because we want to keep our bodies moving and stay healthy. But Disney does provide that, just a little something extra. And in essence, you kind of get what you pay for. Even the quality of the medals are a step above what a lot of these other races you get into and everything. And then with the Dopey, you get all 6 medals. You get the 4 from the actual races, plus you get the Goofy, because technically you did the Goofy Challenge.
Did the Goofy Challenge
and you get the Dopey Challenge. So you get all 6 medals. You're getting the shirts for all 6 races, because there's a shirt. So yes, I'm saying that it's not a lot for a shirt and everything, but for $600, the ability to do all that. They're also a legit event. If God willing, you can also qualify for the Boston and everything. Like, there's a lot of elements of training and everything with that. Now, I will say Disney races probably aren't the best race of what you want to do for a PR, personal record time, because there are so many people doing it. There's going to be bottlenecks along the way. There's going to be challenges along the course.
You're going to get slowed down. Yeah.
But don't do it with the idea that you're going to run your fastest. Do it because you want the whole experience and everything of it. Because if you are an elite, and then there are abilities where they have with elite where they get corral placements and everything. But for the most part, if you're a middle of the pack runner, don't expect this to be your fastest course, because it's not built and designed that way.
Correct.
It's designed for the experience of it, not just the distance of it.
No, exactly. And
excuse me.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was also going to say, like, Disney is not the place to try and beat your own records and kind of a thing. Like, to an extent, you can do that, but like you said, you'll get bottlenecked here and there. But I know we're a finance podcast, and where you talk about the different like ins and outs of what we know and have experienced in our lives. But I think it's super important to have these episodes that we can talk about the emotional connection that it has with it. Because if you don't have the emotional connection to some of this stuff, then there's no point in a lot of things. So finding those things that you have the emotional connection to, that make you feel all of those things that you've felt, and that like I can feel that you're feeling, like that's super important. And to me, that alone sometimes is worth saving that money. Yeah. Like maybe it takes 2 or 3 years, but to have that moment of understanding what you need emotionally out of it as well, instead of like just analytical brain, numbers, pie charts, things like that, graphs, taking that aside and realizing the emotional is just as important as the financial in this.
Oh, absolutely. Like we still want to live life. Yeah. This isn't a cold and calculated numbers and spreadsheets and everything. Because, like, sure, we can all figure out how to save up a decent amount of money and retire, but then you've missed out on life. Yeah, and especially your healthier, younger years of your life and everything. You're never going to be any younger than you are today. You're never probably going to be any healthier than you are today. Like that aspect of you don't want to just cut out everything that brings you joy and happiness just because. Like, don't get me wrong. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. I understand that. But if there's a way to build it up and figure it out into your budget and do it safely, you still want to have those joy and elements in your life and everything. And to me, this is definitely one of those splurges that I do. I've done, obviously, as I've mentioned many years, many times. And I plan to keep doing it as time goes on with how this years are going and my kids are growing into it. And it's something that's important in that element of what it takes to do these things, because to me, it definitely is worth it. Yeah. So again, please do something that brings you joy like that, but figure out something that has that connection. But understand, when you look at that sticker price point of this, there is more to this than just the price point. Yep. And that's what I think we're trying to hit home with this. And I'm not saying you have to do this.
Right, but with just those kinds of things in life, it's more than just a price tag.
Yeah. And I think that kind of brings the idea of where I feel then the value is definitely of still doing. And you said if it takes you 2 to 3 years to save up to do it, I would suggest trying to do it. Now, I will say it's like a gateway drug. Once you do it, you might want to keep doing it.
Man, I got the itch to do it again.
Yeah, so it could be a slippery slope in that area. But definitely at least trying to do it, especially if you are like a Disney fan and everything. Yeah. Because again, obviously if you don't love Disney and everything, it's not going to be nearly as enjoyable because like, oh, I'm running around the parks. Well, if you don't love the parks, oh, I saw Mickey and them and everything. Well, if you don't like Mickey Mouse and them, like it's not going to be as big of a deal and everything. But for those that are a fan of the parks and everything, that's definitely an important area there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's not just a race. It's the experience you have over the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it can be expensive, yes. But for the right family, the value definitely is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's all about building the memories that it's going to last a lifetime and you're going to hold on to. And the emotional impact of it is just going to stick with you for an immense amount of time. And self-fulfillment, we touched on that too. No one can take that away from you.
Yeah. So please, in the comments, if you've ever done a Run Disney event, or if you're thinking about doing a Run Disney event, please put in the comments there and let us know what distance or race you did. Whether I know we talked mainly about the Dopey weekend, but there's several other Run Disney events. We haven't even scratched the surface on yet. Let us know if you've done a 5K, 10K, half, or full. What race are you trying to build up to one of the challenges? Whether it's the Goofy or Dopey challenge. What tips and tricks you might want, because again, as we just talked about being a community, we're trying to build that community here as well. And we're here to help each other out and uplift each other to the point of reaching our goals in that aspect. And so we're here to help out in whatever way we can.
No, absolutely. And ask the awkward questions. Like, will my inner thighs chafe? Will my groin get in trouble? Yeah. Will my nipples feel raw at the end of it? Ask the weird questions, because the weird questions is what's going to save you when you're going into these things, especially if it's your first time. Because we want to hear from the people that not only have done this before, but people that are interested in doing this, and maybe you're inspired based off of what we're talking about. But ask those weird questions that make you feel uncomfortable, because it will save you a lot of pain in the long run.
There is definitely the dark side of the running and everything. And then, like you said, we got to get it out in the open, because I'd rather it be awkwardly asked here than you to learn the hard way at mile 16 and realizing, I still got 10 miles to go and this hurts.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like you said, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you're interested in. If you are interested in running, if it's not running, but another type of workout, and what that community has done for you in the self-fulfillment, leave a comment. Share the love with everyone. Share the inspiration. We love to hear those kinds of things.
So thank you so much for joining us today on this. And I'm sure we'll dive further in this subject and other areas soon. But for right now, until we hear you next time, thank you and take care, everyone.
All right. Take care.